Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David, and the theme of the day is acceptance and inclusion. Four of Wands. Now, you might be wondering, why am I showing you my table mat here as opposed to my normal background? Well, I'm glad you asked. Libby had put out a video the other day regarding her channel potentially being throttled, having its the view of it go out to other recommendation sites and such as you go through the algorithm. And I had noticed the same thing had been happening with my channel. And I emailed her like a screenshot of, yeah, look at me, I'm suffering like you are. And she sent me a link that someone had sent her about ways that the algorithm might work and things that might happen to cause your channel to get throttled. And one of them would be if you keep seeing the same background all the time, that the algorithm might think it's an AI generated video or something like that, and then it doesn't recommend it. So they were recommending changing your backgrounds, changing the look in the first few seconds of the video to, if you have a mat in front of you, changing the mat or something like that. So I'll play around with it. That's why we did the opening the way we did it this time. Good times. Plus, I got to show off some crystals of mine as well, and that's always fun. Now, what's going on in the world today? Donald Trump. I was watching I was listening to Heather Cock Richardson while working today, and she made a comment about, Rachel Maddow made a comment about, don't listen to what they say, watch what they are doing. Heather Cock Richardson was pointing out every time there's been big pushback on Trump where he gets dealt a setback, he lashes out in a tantrum. And she gave the examples of when the last No Kings March happened, he knocked down the East Wing of the White House. When the Supreme Court ruled against him, did he go to Venezuela right after that? One after Iran, I forget which it was. But that when Delta setback, he lashes out. He gets angry, and then he wants to break things. So we got a No Kings rally coming up in just a little over a week. I record this on March 20th, 5 o'clock Pacific time. On the 28th, I believe, is our next No Kings rally. So if history is a way to predict future events, given this man's immature responses, we can expect something happening at the end of March, beginning of April, that will be massive. Whether it's an invasion of Cuba, or I should say a bombing campaign in Cuba, or boots on the ground in Iran, expect something big like that to happen because his ego can't handle it. That being said, I fully plan on being out on Saturday, joining the protests. It's a worthwhile thing to do. I might include that I probably will include that in a reading here. Or if not here, check out the Twin channel, because I know Gary's been wanting to do a reading on the No Kings rally, and he just hasn't done it yet because we're still far out. But I think we're within a week. He's going to want to do it probably this weekend. So it might go up this weekend, might go up Monday, but I would expect at some point in the next 2 or 3 days that will happen. By the way, Libby, if you're watching this, thank you very much for sending me that email on the channels. Okay, so Donald Trump is saying that the U.S. is, quote, gotta get to the top, getting very close to meeting Iran objectives as we consider winding down. Okay, first off, which objectives? You've come up with a half a dozen objectives. We still, to this day, do not know why we are there. And if we don't know why we're there, we can't know what the objectives are that will allow us to leave, other than apparently Trump will, quote, feel it in his bones. Trump said on Friday the U.S. is getting very close to meeting its objectives in Iran. We are getting very close to meeting our objectives as we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East with respect to the terrorist regime of Iran, he posted on Truth Social. He then went on to cite the objectives, including degrading Iranian missile capability, launches, and everything else pertaining to them. Well, nothing like being specific, right? Destroying the country's defense industrial base, eliminating its Navy and Air Force, never allowing Iran to get close to nuclear capability. I thought we obliterated that already. As well as protecting U.S. allies in the region, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Kuwait. And then he said about the Strait of Hormuz, and boy, this is really grinding on him. The United States does not, if asked if we will help these countries in their Hormuz efforts, but it shouldn't be necessary once Iran's threat is eradicated. Importantly, it will be an easy military operation for them. Remember, it's been pointed out, Donald Trump has never, ever had to clean up his own mess. This guy had his father bail him out from all of his financial problems in the real estate market. And then he had banks bailing him out as he declared his bankruptcy. And when the banks wouldn't lend money to him anymore, then Russian oligarchs would bail him out of his problems. And now we're getting to, and he certainly surrounded himself with sycophants. You can have Weisselberg. Every time he made a bad business decision, he has to rely on Alan Weisselberg to bail him out, or Michael Cohen to help bail him out. And those guys also went to prison for him to, again, bail him out. As he has berated NATO and our traditional allies, as he looks for help in Iran, that Four of Wands card, where normally they would come in and assist you, you've insulted them, they're ignoring you. You've kicked them out, you've othered them, so they're not letting you into the party. You go sort it out. And he's gone to all our allies saying, send ships, you need to. And guess what? They won't. And boy, that grinds on his gears. Something fierce. So he's talking about leaving. That's great. But here's the problem. Get up to the top of this story. The Republicans are bracing for Trump to deploy U.S. troops on the ground in Iran as the Middle East conflict goes into its third week with no signs of slowing down. He has activated the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, which has at least 2,200 Marines, which departed San Diego on amphibious assault ship USS Boxer and heads to the Middle East. So he's got Marines now going over there, and he's speeding up the deployment process to get folks over there. Why would you be sending troops over to that area if you're not planning on putting boots to the ground? Now, according to Joni Ernst, you do it for leverage. You do it to show that you're serious and maybe get the leadership of Iran quaking in their shoes, that somehow the United States is going to invade. Other Republicans are commenting that when asked if the Marines, say, trying to take over Karg Island, which handles apparently like 90% of Iran's oil exports, they're basically saying that, no, they wouldn't consider that boots on the ground. To them, boots on the ground is like taking over the entire country. That might be your definition. That's not the working definition. The working definition for us is soldiers going into a foreign country under war. Those are boots on the ground. You might make an argument if it's special forces where they're hit and run, they go in, do some demolition stuff and then extract themselves so they're not staying. Boots on the ground is like you're sending the military, the army in there, for instance, and they're going in there with the intent of staying for some duration, short or long. Soldiers that could be under assault and killed en masse if things go awry. And we're not talking like a squad of 6 to 12. We're talking, when you're sending hundreds or thousands of men into a situation, that's boots on the ground. So the fact that GOP members of Congress are qualifying what boots on the ground are, Trump saying that, oh no, I wouldn't do that, and then he said, and if we were sending boots on the ground, I wouldn't tell you anyways. So he's basically not answering. He's denying it, but he's also letting you know that he's not denying it. Obviously, the members of the GOP think he's going to do it because they're already trying to say, well, boots on the ground doesn't really mean boots on the ground. Boots on the ground means something else. Kind of like this military intervention doesn't mean it's a war. It's a military intervention. So I'm sure they will come up with some new terminology for what the rest of us would call boots on the ground. Let's take a look at the energy around Donald Trump and the deployment of troops like the Marine Expeditionary Force in Iran, and that includes Karg Island. Entertainment purposes only. Come on down. We've got agreements. We've got the Justice card. The past, Two of Swords. Current situation, Judgment. Overarching energy is the Knight of Swords. Lesson to be learned is the Page of Swords. Outcome, the Knight of Wands. Underlying energy is the Hierophant. Deploying of troops in Iran. There is basically an agreement, and I'm going to not say it's an agreement between Trump and Congress. This is an agreement with like Trump, Israel, and the GOP. That it's understood this is going to happen. The thing that's concerning them is that you're expanding a war that hasn't been declared a war. It has not been approved by Congress. And that's going to lead to some problems. Underneath it all is the Hierophant. I think, and also this is going to be, just desserts for those who support this. Congress, the House and Congress get to declare war. That's what they get to do. If you go ahead and start this issue, you're alienating your base that you made promises to that you weren't going to do this. No forever wars. So for the GOP, their ability to stay in office depends on what Trump does, how this war goes, and then like the SAVE Act type of thing. In the past, the Two of Swords, boots on the ground, no boots on the ground. Attack, not attack. He decided to attack. The attacks didn't go the way he wanted, so now you've got to do something different. So what does Trump do that's different? He doesn't do anything that's different. He does the same thing every time. Double down. Now you have to call up people to come bail your butt out. He doesn't have anybody to bail him out of this mess. So all he can do is double down and charge forward because that's all he knows how to do. The lesson to be learned, he doesn't know what he's doing. He waves the sword around absolutely clueless. He is as much a danger to himself as anybody around him as the person who's his purported enemy. The outcome is the Knight of Wands. There's going to be a progression in the aggression. This is moving forward with a plan. It's supposed to be slow and steady. So while Trump may order a rapid deployment, and that's what I think is happening here, he's trying to speed things up, hopefully the generals will try and do it in a way where the military has the best chance for success once the knights are deployed. But the thing is, you have to have a plan. You have to know what your objective is. Has the objective been planned out? This White House, this presidential administration has shown little to no strategic planning. They seem to base... It's what happens when you hire a bunch of trolls and mouthy, destructive people. There's no planning. There's just reaction. There's just do stuff to piss people off. And in something like this is not just trolling somebody on the internet or owning the libs. This is people's lives that you're putting at risk. And this is not going to end well for the United... We might get lucky and get away with escaping without mass casualties, but the situation they are being sent in hasn't been planned out. It's piecemeal. It's reactionary. This is not going to be good. This 99 times out of 100, this is going to end really, really badly. And I think I'm overestimating when I say there's a 1 in 100 chance this won't end badly. The only way this doesn't end badly is that if they've so decimated Iran's ability to defend itself that they can't strike back. Other people I've heard, it's like these guys will be sitting ducks out there. If they're left on that island, they will be sitting ducks. If you don't believe me, have we learned nothing about Russia's invasion into Ukraine? The Iranians... There are two countries right now in this world I would not want to attack. I would not want to attack Ukraine, and I would not want to attack Iran, because they have embraced the war style of the future, which is mass drones. They are good at taking down expensive tanks, helicopters, planes, as well as troops. They can do it all, and they do it inexpensively with minimal casualties. It is a brutal new world we live in, and the United States military is geared up for a battle, a Cold War type battle. We're not really... I don't think, well, what do I know? But I don't think we're fully prepared for it. We're spending a lot of money on really expensive tanks. Russia did too. And look how quickly Ukraine has decimated Russia's army, including some of the best tanks in the world, to the point where Russia doesn't send tanks into Ukraine anymore, or armored personnel carriers. They have their soldiers riding in on horses, riding motorcycles, commandeering, normal vehicles to drive in there. No armor whatsoever, just move the troops fast. Bicycles. The analogy would be any nation that didn't upgrade from World War I. The difference between World War I and World War II were vast. And there was only, 25 years between those two wars. You went from trench warfare with cannons and horses to battle tanks, aircraft, bombers, etc. You still had artillery, you still had ships, but aircraft carriers, aircrafts and such were the new thing. 4 cards. Is Trump planning on sending troops in? Despite the fact that he says he's not, is he right now planning on doing that? Yeah, he wants the conflict, the fighting, the chaos. 8 of Cups, Queen of Swords, Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, it's like he wants his new expeditionary force in there. It's like, well, they shouldn't have joined the military if they didn't want to do that. Trump's needs trump that of anybody else's. And I think the problem is that he doesn't feel like he's gotten what he needs out of Iran. And if he were to declare victory and leave, he's going to be called a coward, and he can't be called a coward. So he's going to take mother's babies and send them overseas on a new journey here. To him also with that Queen of Coins. No, they're expendable. You know, you can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. So that's that. He doesn't care. You don't mourn the bullets when you're shooting your enemy. If it takes one bullet to kill an enemy, great. If it takes 100 bullets to kill your enemy, great. As long as the enemy's gone. I don't care how many bullets you spend. That's kind of where we're at. The members of Congress that are trying to redefine boots on the ground. Tell me a little bit more about that. With either why they're doing this, how people are going to react to it. Just a little more background information on this whole redefining boots on the ground. Craziness. 10 of Wands, because they're in a hard spot. 7 of Wands, the Chariot, the 6 of Wands, and the Queen of Cups. Yeah, I think they understand the situation. These congressmen understand they're in an impossible situation, and they can't tell you how they truly think. They got to keep their mouths shut. They got to carry they have to carry the water, toe the party line on this one. That, maybe if we continue the fighting, we'll be victorious. It's like marketing. It's just marketing. A military, authorized military force is a fancy way of saying war. A police action is a fancy way of saying war. It's marketing. People hear war and then they get upset. But if you call it a police action or a authorization of use of military force, somehow that sounds better. That's what they're doing. They're just rebranding it. And they know they have to because they know it's unpopular. But they don't have any other choice. And I think that they know the president's going to do this. They may not have proof. I'm not saying that he's told them and they know, but they know. The folks in the administration, their contacts in there, they're getting the signal what's going to happen here. Switching gears, the No Kings rally. The energy that comes off from the No Kings rally, how is that going to impact Trump and his psyche? Seven of Coins, reaping what you sow. Crossed by the Page of Wands, people going out, speaking out about their values. Underneath it all, Temperance. Normally this is, detoxification. And if you think about it, that makes great sense from the protesters' point of view. You're going out there speaking about your values. You're going out and you're advancing and you're speaking. And when you do that, you're putting it out there where your morals, your values, your ethics are, and it feels good to share that. With Trump, it's going to be the exact opposite because it's oppositional to his point of view. So read these cards as this. It's like, how do I get back at these guys for their mouthing off? How do I make this a more toxic situation? So I think Trump, anything I read to you on this, I'll read it to you from like the point of view of the protesters, and the reverse is going to be done for Trump because he's like the darkness to the light and he's trying to match it. In the past, you got the High Priestess. Secrets being revealed. Understanding, knowledge that's coming through, and Trump trying to hide it. This could also be the manipulations that Israel is doing in our current government that have been exposed. That's happening here, which is being exposed, yet it still controls Trump and his crew. The the No Kings protests, the current situation, or protesting the government and what the government's doing, how the government is seemingly out of control and not listening to the people, which means that Trump is going to try and tighten his grip over the levers of power in the government to maintain the narrative that he wants people to hear. Overarching energy is the Three of Coins. This is people coming together of different walks of life to build something. We know the government's not working. We know we need to get them to hear us as we get together. Trump is instead going to, instead of broadening the tent, he's going to go narrow. He's going to go back into his administration, go back to his most loyal followers, and continue to do his actions with less and less input from outside sources. The lesson to be learned, we don't want kings, and we don't want powerful oligarchs ruling us. Trump is going to lean on those oligarchs. He needs those oligarchs' support if he has any chance to stay in power. The outcome is the Ten of Wands. The result of the No Kings protest is putting a lot of pressure and energy and anxiety onto the members in Congress, to the nation of the United States, and to the world, that we are carrying a burden and we don't like what we're doing. We are one of the most powerful countries in the world, if not the most powerful country in the world, and we're suffering right now, and people are getting out and voicing it. Trump is going to make other people suffer for the suffering that he's doing because he's toxic. 4 cards. How will he do this? What will be his response? There might be multiple responses. I'll do a challenge reading here. Left side will be Iran. Right side will be Cuba. We'll see which one. And again, these are not mutually exclusive. Except he has really gone through. I'm smiling as I say it. He's really gone through our arms and armament. And you can't punch yourself to the point of exhaustion, because then you're vulnerable for counter punches. I shared with you the story about the kid getting beat up by a bully and challenges the bully to a push-up contest, and the bully rips off 50 push-ups to the point where his arms are exhausted and rubbery and he can't defend himself, and the kid who's been bullied then starts a fist fight with the guy and beats him up because the guy can't defend himself, he can't punch, he can't do anything except be abused. Iran, Cuba. What's going to be the main things going for each? I don't need to be mysterious about it. Cuba. Oh dear. As the No Kings comes through, Trump is trying to hold on to power as basically he slips out of rationality. In Iran, something is going to manifest. The Hermit card. This is like an expeditionary force, kind of. Going forward, you got the mystery and the Ace of Cups, passions. You know, 3 major arcana and an Ace of Cups. There will be action in Iran, for sure. There's going to be action. This is going to be some type of plan that's been hatched that's going to be revealed. We're going to see it, and it's going to raise people's passions. Fighting. I think there's going to be an increase of fighting. This is when, if the boots on the ground haven't happened before that, it's going to happen. It might happen before it. Cuba, we're talking about the government. The toppling of the government, trying to raise people up for a revolution as we pretend to be their friends. It's both. It's both. He will threaten Cuba, and I believe as a result of that, the only thing that would prevent Cuba from being attacked is if they reach out to the United States and agree to a regime change. Kind of like a bloodless coup in order to prevent military strikes and such on their government. It would literally take something like a coup for that to happen. I don't know if I think that's going to happen. So I think we're going to get both. We're going to get boots on the ground, and then Trump's going to go for regime change. Lastly, anything else you want us to know about Trump and the goings-on of this world and his administration during this time over the next week or so? Increase in fighting. People can't talk about it. It's costing money. It's costing lives. And it's like while this fighting is happening, things should be calming down, but they're not. Maybe there's talk under the scenes about how do we calm things down as all this stuff happens and the energy level escalates. Maybe some people come forward with the suggestion for an off-ramp on this, but I don't think so. I think people are just Congress. When I say people, I mean Congress and such. They're just going to keep their mouths shut. The gravy train's good. They don't want to lose their gravy train here. And I think we're going to think of these coins as troops. We're going to be sending troops over to do fighting. Maybe there'll be calls for a ceasefire, but that's an undercurrent of this. And I think the problem is that he doesn't know how to get out of this because there's nobody here to bail him out. Recurring theme. No one to bail him out. Things escalate. And also, think about this. Thank you. By the way, thank you for putting up with me for 32 minutes. Trump always has somebody to bail him out. When there are no options left, when there's nobody left to bail him out, he runs. He folds. He bankrupts his companies, bankrupts his casinos, and he washes his hands of everything and just walks away. As this situation escalates, it's almost like, and forgive how this sounds because it seems really callous. It's almost like we have to go through this escalation. He has to go through that part where he feels isolated and ignored. He has to build things up and break it to the point where he's got nowhere to go and the walls are closing in, and then he scarpers. Should he live so long, he will not be in the United States once this thing crashes because there will be nobody to bail him out, and he will just literally pick up the game board, scatter the pieces everywhere, and scream that everybody cheated, it's unfair, and he hated this stupid game anyways, and then he'll go off and go somewhere else and stew and bitch and complain about things. Because that's what he does. So it's really, really important that we get out there. First off, it's really important we build up the energy here. Maintain it. It's agonizing to watch. A lot of suffering that seems unnecessary. But in order for, looking how Trump reacts to things, this is just the way it's going to play out. I hate it. But it's the way it's going to play out. If we win this election, if the Republicans lose control of Congress and the Democrats gain control of it, the pending impeachments, the impending removal, the investigations that are going to happen, the loss of support that Trump has, he's going to go. Whether he goes to, as Susan Lynn says, the great McDonald's in the sky, or if he flees to another country, he will not stick around. He has never stuck around to face the music for anything. And there's nobody to bail him out. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.